I'm back. Well, man, where have I been? I've been everywhere, man, as they say. Well, what have we got today? Well, I've got one of these packages that's come in the post to me. Yeah, it has, and I'm quite excited about this one. This is a project that we're going to be doing over Christmas time, actually. But today we're going to have a really close look at what's in the box. Yes, here I am back. Yeah, my ears have gone away, well, near enough. I'll be in Dallas from the 9th onwards for about a week or so, and then I'll be back here to do a load of reviews. I know you want to look at this, but we'll get to it. Calm down. Yeah, I just want to talk just for a few seconds about some of the reviews that are coming up all over the Christmas period and, well, in December as well. It should be exciting, really. Well, it is to me. And, yeah, it'll probably be exciting to you because we're going to be pulling some of them bits apart. Can't pull this one apart, but, yeah, it'll be worth the effort. I'll just get a couple of bits out and show you. Hold on. Yeah, I've got one of these fried man things. I'll call it that for now. I haven't opened it and looked inside. Well, that'll be coming up. Yeah, that's a story in itself, but we'll come back to that one. Yes, believe it or not. Yes, this will be being reviewed, even though millions of them have been seen forever. That doesn't matter. It's a Boss Blues driver, a BD2. That'll be coming up. That should be interesting. In its own little way. Remember, anybody can buy these things, just as I've been out and bought each one of these things that I'm showing you currently. This one's a... Whoops. This one's a Boss equalizer. This is a GE7, and there are reasons for bringing that up. It's another one, and comparisons and things like that, and inside, and all the things that you might want to know that nobody ever shows you. You know the sort of thing, don't you? There's another one here too. Now on this next one that's coming up, not today. Everybody's reviewed it, haven't they? Yeah, they've all had a go, haven't they? Yeah, this is the Boss IR200. Amp and IR cabinet pedal. The only difference is I bought this one and I'm going to review it like, well, all the rest don't, because they never do they? But you know that. Well, you do if you're a regular subscriber, and if you're not a regular subscriber, you ought to be, because you're going to see reviews of these sort of products like nobody else ever does. And remember that. You might want to subscribe and press that thumbs up right now. Then we're going to get down to this. Yeah, it sounds like a great plan. Now then, a lot of people will know that I've been a fan of the Warmoth equipment for some years. Well, in fact, it goes all the way back to about 2009. That's 14 years. And I've had some amazing products from them. And this is no exception. Well, it is an exception. And I'm going to tell you why it's an exception, really, because this is probably the best body that I've ever bought from any company, or from any... Well, let me rephrase that. It's probably better than any guitar body, on any guitar even, including the Dragon 3 that I used to own from PRS. Now, that was a great guitar, and it was really well matched on the top and all the rest of it. But I can tell you now that this one's actually better. Well, as you might see, it's out of the box. And on the face of it, it just looks like any other guitar body. Well, I have to say that it does until we flip it out the pack. Let's do that. Yeah. It really is some level of guitar body, the likes of I haven't particularly seen before. And by the way, before we go anywhere, I paid for this with money out of my pocket. Warmoth didn't send me a bean. They didn't give me 1 penny's worth of anything extra. I paid full price for the VAT, which is 20% coming to the UK. And I also paid for the 100 and... hold on. I paid for because this is the bit I like, $128.04 for shipping. So you can imagine that the overall costs, well, it's quite high. Okay, well, it's out of the box, and like I said, on the face of it, you don't really see very much. So let's just get a stand so you can see what's going on. Then we'll get a bit closer, eye to eye. Well, as you can see, well, I hope you can see, it's one of them Telecaster things. Now, if you've already subscribed to my channel, you might have seen a picture of this already. Around the back here, it doesn't look anything special, except that, well, what's this black thing here? Well, that's because it's rear rooted. I've got all the specs here, so I can talk about a few of them as we go. Be a bit boring else, wouldn't it? Yeah, so the body, it's a solid body, not hollowed out anywhere. Well, it is around the back, of course, for the controls, but well, everything else, core wood, it's older. You can see it here. It's basically a two-piece back. I can tell you that because I can see the join here at the back. Yeah, that's nice. The top wood will be a sort of mapley stuff. We'll get to that. It's right-handed, control cavity, rear rooted. All good. I've got a pile of components that are going to go inside this guitar, but more on that later. We've got Tele neck pickup and the rest. Well, we'll come back to it. We'll get a bit closer and turn it over and see where we're going with this. After all, this was a really expensive body. Well, I think so. So looking at it from an angle, you might just be able to see the join down there. It's right there in the middle. And of course you can see it about there. You'll notice that nothing else has been particularly put in these holes yet because, well, it's brand new. This is tapered, and more about that later when we turn it over. And as I said, you've seen the back. I've got a hole here at the top, if you can see that. You probably can, in there, for the output. Yeah. Nothing special about the holder, I don't think. It's just a piece of holder, but it is light. We'll come to the weight again once we get a little bit further down. I'm going to flip her over and let you have a look at the other side. Well, what can I say? Except maybe that word, wow. When I wanted to create this Telecaster style guitar, and it's very Telecaster style, well, it will be when you get to see it finished, you'll find that maybe it's got a few things in it that you might not have wanted on there, or you might well have wanted on there. Depends whether you're a, first of all, Telecaster player or not. Depends then what sort of pickups you like, and lots of other things that are going to make this particular guitar quite special. More special than all the others that I've done. Well, nearly all of them. That's how I'd put it. And the finish on this is just quite incredible. And so is the top. I'm going to get it a bit closer now so you can get a really, really good view. Maybe I'll show you some of the other components that I've bought over the years from Warmoth, turned into guitars, and you can make your own mind up whether this is better or they're better. Yeah, you can put down in the comments whether you prefer A, B, C, D or whatever I come up with. That should be interesting. Well, here's a look from one side of the thing, and I have to say, it's a pretty awesome body if you want the truth. Well, you don't like it, well, that's okay. It's my guitar. So take a popping eye look at that, and let's talk about a few of the specs. As I've said, it's control cavity round the rear. It's a Telecaster neck pickup. You'll see routed there. And the bridge pickup is also Telecaster routed there. It's not set up for any type of whammy bar or anything like that. That's not the intention on this one. It's got no middle pickup, which Telecasters, well, some do, some don't. Yeah, we've got no overroot options for anything. And that's, when I'm talking of overroot, I'm talking of these deeper than they are at the moment. That one and this one here. Whoops, there. And that can create a problem, but more about that later, and more about that as we go through the build. There's a fix for that. The control layout is just standard Telecaster control layout, as you can see. Nothing special there. Well, there is, but not as you know it. It's a standard 4-bolt neck mount, but it's tapered on one edge, and I'll show you a photograph of that when we get a bit closer. We've got Telecaster neck pocket shape, body contour. There's a forearm and a belly cut. Yeah, it's got both of them on there, which is what I always like. There's no binding as such because it's all natural as this guitar. There's no colouring. Funny enough, some people would say, oh, it's a nice yellow you've had tinted on there, Tony, but in reality it's not tinted. So that's about most of it, and I can tell you that it's yeah, it's just awesome, really. Pretty much awesome. Let's get a bit closer. Okay, well, we're talking about this bit down the bottom here, and if you take a look there, you can see very clearly that it's sort of tapered, so you can get a better access to these top frets. It's always been a bit funny on most Telecasters. This is sort of cut away as well, a bit more round here, which is also pretty nice. On the side here, I opted for a 7/8 inch hole, which is a standard, and there are reasons for doing that too, but we'll come back to that as we go through the build. But of course, on this guitar there's only one thing that you're really going to talk about, and it's this top. Now, I'm not entirely sure what colour it's going to come out on the final video. I'll have to go and spend a bit of time probably getting the colour matching just right, because it's a sort of darker brown colour, but it's not been actually, tinted in any way, which is a bit weird. So if we zoom in a bit closer, you'll see the sort of matching that's gone on this thing. Now, one thing's for sure, that hasn't been matched just any old way, has it? I mean, look at it. It's absolutely, well, it's just awesome. The way that it's matched is very important on when you get on these type of guitars with these fabulous tops on. To me, these are the sort of things that you need to have good. You see all the way down it's all pretty good. Yeah, really nice. Such a glossy finish as well on this one. And as we've moved down this end, again you can see it's all pretty standard here. All looks pretty normal so far. Yeah, it's still matched as well as it could possibly be. And what you can get on some of these guitars sometimes is if it's not actually playing totally, completely flat at the particular time, or they take too much off, you'll get a sort of mismatch going on. And I had that on one or two guitars off and on over the years. It's very, very hard to find one with a top like this. Like I said, it's a darker sort of colour than what you might think. And when we go back up, I'm just going to talk about that and one or two other little bits and pieces about this body that I think are worth talking about for anybody who's going to consider making one of these type of guitars, particularly like this, a sort of real custom job, and spending a bit of money on it, that sort of thing. I think it's always very important to try and show everything that comes from my experience on products like this, because most guys just don't do it. They never get to want to. Well, maybe they want to, but they don't always be able to afford it. It's not a cheap solution, and we'll talk about cost as well when we go back up. And lastly, just before we do go back up the top, here are the holes for the controls. That sort of rhymes, doesn't it? And I've got a switch there. That's a sort of Telecaster style switch. But more about all that as we go through the build later, which won't be in this video. I'm just showing you the body today. Well, here we are, back up top, so to speak. What a fabulous body. And this particular body, well, at least the top, It's probably one of the best tops that I've ever been able to get my hands on, really. Sometimes I've talked about these things before when you've been onto the, if you go onto the Warmoth site, so to speak. There are a few things you can do. One of which is you can actually build the body from nothing. You know, from literally bits and pieces. You can choose this or you can choose that. And you can see on this body that, well, maybe you can't see. This contours option, the back contours option, the pickup routing and depth is option. This is option, these is option. The neck cutaway is option. The style of neck, could be a Strat neck or a Telecaster neck, they are different in there, is an option. The top is an option. And you can, the thing about the top is you can go and get this top. You can go and have a look at the tops they've got in stock. You'll see them on the screen. And they show them to you in sort of bare wood mode. And then they put water on it so you can see how it'll end up. So right from the off, I knew how this one would look. And that's very important to me. When I was looking at the woods, you'll find one of the things with the woods is that there are lighter versions of maple and darker versions of maple, particularly this quilted maple. Yeah. I've always tended to look for the darker stuff, like this is, and that's just a preference really, but having said that, I think it looks an awful lot better when the colouring, I'll call it that, the natural colouring is just darker brown. I always think it sounds a bit better too, but who knows, those sort of things. When people are talking about it sounds better or worse, well, I don't know. So when you're looking at this, if you ever go down to the Warmoth site or up to the Warmoth, it depends which way you are. If you're in Australia, it's up to the site. Yeah, if ever you want to go and do that, take a real good close look. In fact, you can go there now. You don't have to buy anything. Go and have a look. Start to build a body and have a look at the options for these tops. And you'll notice there's a massive variation in colour. Even without colour. There's these dark ones and light ones. And I urge you to check that. Because you'll find when you see these darker ones, it's just my opinion, that it's better. It's a better match. It's a better quilt. It's better everything. Yeah, I think the weight of this one, if I remember rightly, it's not on the piece of paper they sent me, which was a bit of a shortcoming really, Mr. Warmoth. It would have been nice to have the weight, but I think it's nearer something like 3.2 pounds or something like that. So again, you have a choice when you're making a body to have the lighter wood or the heavier wood. Some people say the heavier wood guitars sound better. I don't particularly agree with that myself, but you know, different people, different options, different opinions. Who's right and who's wrong? Nobody's right and nobody's wrong. It's just that you can do whatever you want as opposed to buying a guitar off the shelf. When you get what they give you, there is such a difference. I'm not going to go to massive specifics on this guitar and its build, except to say, well, the picture you can see right now are some of the bits that we've got for this guitar, and they might change. I mean, even on the bridge, I've got two versions of the same make, which is a bit weird. And I do know that Vega Trem have just come out with a Telecaster bridge, which the guy said to me, he says, well, I'll send you one. And I thought, well, fantastic, because I'm building this guitar. And I'd already bought bridges anyway, so I wasn't really, that keen about that, or not. And I said, well, can you send me a gold one? He said, well, unfortunately not. We're not doing the gold ones yet. Well, they'll probably do them later. If ever they do, I'd love to get the Vega Trem, which is just look like a standard bridge to me. I could be wrong. But that's life. But the bridges we're going to be fitting aren't Vega Trem. I think I can say that at this moment. If something changes, I'll let you know. The pickups could be any one of a couple of types that I've got. I've got some of the latest Fender noiseless, not version 4, but newer than that, which could be a bit of a problem. I might have to do some routing or this or that or the other. And I've also got another set of pickups that I picked up recently from a guy who made them way back in the 90s. And this other chap bought them and had them in his stock sitting on a shelf out the way, and he's got 2 sets, and I'll tell you about them when I get to them. But those are David White pickups. Oh, you've never heard of them? Well, you won't be able to buy them unless you get that one set from the guy that I put in the video when it comes along. He's got 1 set left and they're brand new. Yeah, David White pickups, probably some of the best Strat pickups at the very least that I've ever heard. And I'll put down in the text a link to those pickups in a Strat. Not the ones you can fit in this, but they're still David White and they're probably, along the same sort of level. Yeah, and the weight. Let's talk about the weight first now. I'm not talking how heavy it is. I bought this body September the 12th. It is now, December the 3rd I received it. They do say on the website that there's a sort of 3-month wait list. I don't know why that is. Well, I've got a guess as to why it is. Well, in any case, whatever, that wait that I had was extensive and you could have almost said cancel it. But I waited. It's 3 months down the road. As to the price, what's something like this like? What's it worth? Sit back and say to yourself, what is this worth to me? No, not to me, to you. You might say, wow, that's brilliant. I've always wanted one of them. I'll go and have a go. You might. Indeed, I've done that a lot of times myself. But you might be somebody that says, I can't be bothered. I'm not going to do all that. I could spend that money and then screw it all up and get it wrong and it's scrap. Yeah, you could do that too. But if you take your time with it, it's not that difficult, to tell you the truth. Don't let anybody convince you that it is. Yeah, it's really not that difficult. So, value is an acquired thing for the person. For me, this guitar body was worth every single penny of the $805 that it actually cost. Yeah, $805. Plus the tax and the shipping and all that rubbish that really frustrates me sometimes. Well, $805. That's about £700 today. It's still a lot of money, and by the time it's arrived with me, it's probably nearer £850. But the way I look at that, there are a number of ways you could look at it, and some of them you might agree with, some of them you might not. See, when you step back from it all, I've bought guitars worth, honestly, tens and tens of thousands of pounds. Well, they say they're worth it. I've got a Dragon 2002 that was listed by Paul Smith and his friends for $30,000 back in 2002. I'll say that again. $30,000. It's over there on the screen now. You can see it. I mean, it's a very nice guitar. It's had a lot of things done to it. And then I'll look at the Dragon 3 that I had. That's also over there now. You can see it. And again, it's list price. List price, I think, was something like $24,000 to $30,000. Some ridiculous money. Crazy money. I did not pay that for any of them, I might admit and have to confirm. But that's the price they were asking for them. Well, was it worth, say, $24,000 to me? Absolutely not. Was the Dragon 2002 worth $30,000 to me? Absolutely not. Would you pay it? Well, to some people, it is worth that money. I don't know why, but it's the way life is. To me, creating a guitar like this, and when it's finished, bearing in mind the neck and the rest of the components and all the rest of it, when it's finished, will be comparable with Well, most top-end guitars. It's that simple. I could have gone to Fender and bought a body. I couldn't have easily bought a body like that from Fender. I don't think I could have. But unfortunately and scarily, I don't think they make one. Yeah, that's the truth. I've never seen a Fender guitar, and I've even had a custom-made Fender guitar for an artist that I owned once, and didn't come anywhere near that. So it's all relative. It's horses for courses. The value to me is that by the time this is finished, I will have paid probably less than $2,500. Probably less than $2,500. And what can you buy for that today here in these days? The year is currently 2022, but I don't think anything's going to get any cheaper as we move forward. In fact, I think it's going to get worse right now. But that'll come out in time. And you look back at this video and you'll either laugh or cry. You'll either cry that it was this cheap, or you'll laugh that it was this dear. Anyway, that's enough of this body for now. I wanted to show it to guys on here because I rarely ever see anything quite as good as that one. Either in the looks or the build quality or how they've done it or what I've ended up with. I don't even care about the sort of 3 months wait that went on. Honestly, I don't care. It doesn't matter. When you're building something like this, I'll call it building as well, by the way, because a lot of people say, that's not building. You hear them. Yeah, I think it is building, and there's still an art and a thing that I put into this, that I will put into this, that will make it my guitar. It wouldn't be necessarily suitable for everybody, but for me, I think this one's going to be pretty spot on. Well, that's it for now, and don't forget to visit www.TonyMcKenzie.com if you get a chance. There's nothing new on there, but there's lots of old stuff on there that's still pretty interesting stuff. If you like Marshalls or you like most amps, I've got diesels on there and all sorts of brands of amps and guitars. In fact, there's a lot of guitars on there that are made from parts from Warmoth. You can go and look at them. And now we're at the end of this video. Before it actually goes off, I'll show you a few photographs of A, B, C, D, and E, let's say. Let's go through 5 of them. And yeah, the vote, we'll call this one X, brand X. Yeah, A, B, C, D, E, and then X. And you put down the bottom what you think's the nicest guitar or the best guitar out of the series. Yeah, see where we go from that. You can judge this one by what we've got there. I'm sure you can. And thanks for watching. It's all been great fun. Now I've got some ears back. I'll be going quiet for a week while I'll be in Dallas because I can't do any of this stuff. It's here and I'm there. But I will be back. And when I get back, yeah, I'm down to the other stuff. Such a lot of stuff to do. I haven't shown you everything by a very long way. And I don't intend to. I'm going to keep you on tenterhooks. Great to be back anyway. And I hope you liked this one. I certainly did. More on it later. And the build will be coming up over Christmas. Now get out of here.